Hi again, it's me, Clint Wattenberg, Coordinator of Sports Nutrition here at Cornell University and author of Performance Nutrition for Wrestlers. I'm here today to talk to you about some effective and safe strategies to make weight for wrestling. First, I want to introduce the concept of weight management and weight cutting, including why it might be important for an athlete's performance. I also want to talk about target weights and how to define your target weight, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of actually making weight for a competition. While effective weight management in season is critical for performance, weight cutting may or may not be right for any given athlete. Core to effective in-season weight management includes fueling the body and the brain for training and recovery, hydration, and sometimes could include weight cutting, which would be the shifting of food and fluids for a short period of time just for making weight. A well-fueled and a well-hydrated body will have a significant change between the maximum and minimum weight on a given day and through that training week. The fact that the body is able to gain and lose weight through fluids and food and hydration indicates that the body is well nourished and well hydrated. The effective weight management and weight cutting plan piggybacks on this well-fueled training week. By being well nourished throughout the week, the athlete is able to simply add one or two workouts right before weigh-ins to enable that weight shifting that we call weight cutting. By simply adding a workout or two, the athlete's able to make weight effectively, be refueled and rehydrated quickly, and able to perform at that peak level come competition time an hour or two later. The beauty of this model of weight management and even weight cutting is that it mimics and builds upon the normal training pattern that a wrestler would have on a typical training week. It utilizes good, sound sports nutrition and sports science principles to minimize restriction and to build in extra workouts that are going to allow the athlete to work their weight down as opposed to starve or float it down as we so often see. This method also allows wrestlers to compete at essentially their training weight, the weight that they're used to walking around at training and recovering at throughout their training week. Finally, by allowing our athletes to be well-fueled, well-hydrated throughout that training week, we're enabling them to be improving in their skills, improving in their passion for the sport, and getting better all season long. Before we can even think about weight cutting or even weight management for that matter, we need to think about what is our optimal weight to train and compete at. For college wrestlers or those that have a lot of experience in weight management, upwards of 4 to 5% of their body weight is an appropriate place for them to train and compete at. This 4 or 5% above the weight class is about equivalent to a practice and a half to 2 practices for the athlete to get their weight down from being that hydrated state. High school athletes should be about 3% above their weight class as their target weight, as their training weight, while young wrestlers, novice, or those that are new to the sport should not be engaging in weight cutting and should be living around 0 to 2% over their weight class, which equates to about a practice worth of sweating and weight loss. In order to effectively make weight and compete effectively and to continue to get better throughout the season, it really requires the athlete to maintain a well-fed, well-nourished, and well-hydrated body as much and as long as possible until weigh-ins. It is imperative that athletes do not dehydrate more than 24 hours before weigh-in and do not overly restrict their calories. This does mean that the wrestler is going to be at a higher body weight than they're typically comfortable because they're going to be able to float and lose more weight throughout each practice. This weight management and weight cutting approach requires the athlete to commit to working their weight down. It's much easier to work out, get extra workouts in when you're well fueled and well hydrated than it is to float it or starve it off. This also requires a great deal of commitment and faith from not only the athlete, but also the coaches and parents to support that athlete being a little bit heavier, understanding that they're going to be able to work harder, their body is going to be much more well-nourished and is going to respond to training, rehydration, refueling efforts, and is going to be able to compete better at that tournament or match, as well as those down the line at the end of the season, as a result of fueling the body through that competition week. The specifics of cutting weight include shifting both food and fluid off the body for a short period of time. In terms of shifting food, it's important to not eliminate calories, but to choose more energy-dense foods that will provide energy to the body and the brain of the athlete as they're training and working their weight down and likely having to go to class, as well as reducing fiber and reducing the foods that are going to weigh a lot on the scale but not provide a lot of energy to the body for that training and recovery effort. Choosing high fat, high protein foods are going to provide a lot of energy with very little weight, whereas high fiber and high carbohydrate foods that we might typically think of as good, nutritious, or healthy foods are actually going to weigh us down on the scale and not provide much energy for the body that is in dire need of it. When it comes to shifting fluids, brevity is key. You do not want to dehydrate the body more than 24 hours before weigh-ins, and the less amount of time that the body is dehydrated, the better. Showing up to the last hard workout in a euhydrated or superhydrated state will allow the body to sweat, to urinate, and to shift those fluids off very quickly and have a bigger weight loss at the end of the weight management week than it would if the body had been dehydrated days earlier. In my experience, early dehydration is both the most common mistake that young athletes make, as well as the one that has the most dire consequences to performance and health. That's it from me today. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to check out mywrestlingnutrition.com for more information about this and many other wrestling nutrition topics. Also, don't forget to download your PowerPoint and handout for this presentation on weight management and making weight in season. MySportsDconnect.com is also a great resource for wrestling nutrition and sports nutrition for virtually any sport that you can think of. Take care, happy fueling, and see you next time.